speak more about the fighting in Gaza. I'm joined by our military analyst, Sean Bell. Sean, good afternoon to you. So just remind us what happened on the 7th of October.
Yeah, good afternoon, Commander. The 6-month anniversary, it's always useful just to go back and reflect. We now know that 5 armed groups joined Hamas in that brutal attack on Israel. Interestingly, we now know the training for that operation started in 2020, yet it was still a surprise to the Israelis when it was conducted. On that fateful morning at 6:30 in the morning, quad bikes, cars, paragliders, all involved in the attack. We're seeing some of the video footage from that now. Ended up with 1,200 Israelis getting killed, 240 hostages being taken as well. I was here on the day following, and we're going through all of the evidence, and a lot of the video evidence was actually provided by the fighters themselves. And the brutality struck me at the time. It was women, children, infants. There were evidence of rape, decapitation and burning. This wasn't a military operation, as some had implied. This followed none of the laws of armed conflict. It was just a brutal massacre on that fateful morning.
And how did Israel respond?
Well, much of the world was shocked at the time. Clearly, Israel's right to self-defence was paramount. Israel declared war at the time. They mobilised 360,000 Israelis. That added to the 150,000 they have in the regular army. So over 500,000 troops, all needed training and equipped to get them ready. Meanwhile, airstrikes were conducted on selected targets. Now, it's interesting that Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas, so apparently was very surprised at the level of response, as was Iran. And, of course, Hamas is no match militarily for the IDF. So Iran actually, therefore, tried to get Hezbollah involved and also prompted the Houthi rebels to get involved, which is why we've seen the problem in the Red Sea. But, of course, the civilian casualties were mounting, humanitarian crisis. A really key moment seems to be in December when South Africa took Israel to the International Court of Justice with allegations that Israel's actions in the Gaza were violation of the Genocide Act. Now, it takes years for the court to come to a judgment, but the court did say Israel needs to do more to look after the civilian population in Gaza. But, of course, since then, casualties have continued to rise. The Al-Shifa hospital over the last couple of weeks and then the tragic killing of those aid workers has all added to that sense, the international concern that Israel's not doing enough to look after the civilian population.
What's the state of the conflicts today, Sean?
One of the things about the international concerns rising is that tensions between Israel's principal backer, America, so President Biden and Netanyahu, have fallen to an all-time low. But something's changed over the last few days. You know, Israel's agreed to open the port of Ashdod. There's also the Erez crossing is apparently going to be opened. And we've heard earlier on today that some of the Israeli forces are actually leaving southern Gaza. Now, it's not clear why. I know Ali Bunkel suggested that it might be because they're rotating. It might well be. But it might also be the American advice was for the Israelis to do more targeted attacks in Rafah, and it might well be that you pull out to allow those targeted attacks. I think from a military perspective, you know, has Israelis' objectives for this war been actually met? Is Hamas destroyed yet? No, but we do feel as if we're in the final chapter of their time. Have they released all the hostages? Answer, no. Of the 240, 130, it's still left, probably only 80 that are alive. And is the military operation the best way to liberate them? There's lots of protesters in Tel Aviv would argue that that's not the case at the moment. And the final point is Israel actually safer as a result of this war? You know, is the result justify the loss of life, the humanitarian crisis and the like? And I think from a military perspective, there's never been a military solution to some of this conflict. It's going to require international effort to create a lasting peace so that security, prosperity and hope, not only for the Israelis, but also for the Palestinians, is vital for an enduring peace.
Absolutely. OK, Sean, appreciate the analysis as always. Thank you.